You are listening to the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast, the podcast for the off-roader with the short attention span.
Episode 62. Better look at it twice. Yeah, that's lame, but that's all I can come up with. Sit back, relax, open up your ear holes. The 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast is about to begin. I think my neighbor has been stealing from his job at the road construction site. Yeah, I didn't want to believe it, but when I got home, all the signs were there. All right, welcome to the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki G. I'm here to inform, entertain, and delight your ear holes with all things off-road for the next 10 minutes or so. Why 10 minutes? That's how long it's going to take for my Hot Pocket to digest. I want to remind everybody you can listen to the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast on whatever the hell you're listening to it now on. And that should be Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Overcast, Breaker, CastBox, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Stitcher. But not iHeartRadio and not Pandora, because those people are just bitches. Yeah, I know I'm cussing a lot on this. I'm earning that explicit label. You can contact the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast at 10minuteoffroad@gmail.com. That's 10minuteoffroad@gmail.com. And I promise I will ignore it. I can't remember the last podcast I said I was going to check the email, and I haven't yet. Maybe I should set it up to alert me on my phone when I get an email. But then again, if I ever do get an email, it'll probably scare the bejesus out of me. You can follow the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast on all the social media platforms that we totally ignore. And when I say we, I mean me, because I am a one-man show here, believe it or not. I wish I could fire the producer, but that guy is me. So you can follow the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, but never on TikTok. TikTok is just, I guess I'm just too old for the TikTok. All right, so moving along, let's get into the nitty-gritty of everything here. Recently went on a wheeling trip, and I got home, and the next day I saw a puddle of gas under my Jeep. And sure enough, I have a fuel tank leak that I didn't notice. And let me go down that rabbit hole. I don't know if you guys remember, if I even told you, a few months back, I had a fuel pressure problem. So I had to go through and change the sending unit, fuel pump, and pressure regulator, which is all on one unit. And just to find out that the pressure regulator just took a dump in about 2 weeks. So I bought another unit, put it in, and it leaked. So I took all these parts and kind of rebuilt my old sending unit. And now I've got good fuel pressure and everything's hunky-dory. But all that time when I was going through, I must have took my tank out 4 or 5 times. And while I had the tank out, I visually inspected it to see what condition it was in. When I say visually inspected, I just looked in the hole where the fuel pump goes. And I didn't see any rust. Well, fast forward to a few months later when I see the gas tank, a spot of gas under my driveway. Right away, I checked all my connections to make sure nothing was leaking. And come to determine that it was coming somewhere from the tank. Couldn't quite make it out. I was hoping it was one of the vents from the top. But as I undone the straps, it started goozing out. And on the 96 Cherokee, I don't know if the newer ones have it, the 97 and up, but on my 96 Cherokee and down, it has a plastic stone guard clipped to the tank. And I never took that off all the times I took the tank out. I just looked in the hole and I didn't see any rust. The tank looked brand spanking new. So I just went on my way. Well, if I would have took that stone guard off, I would have saw that I had a rust spot about the size of a dime. And it finally bled its way through. And the pressure of the strap was pressing up against the tank, which stopped it from pouring out. As soon as I took that strap off, it started just a little mini geyser. And you should have seen me scrambling to get a bucket underneath there to save gas, because at these prices, who could afford it? Lucky enough, my Jeep was on empty, so I didn't have a whole lot of gas in there to begin with, but still, every penny, it all adds up. So further down the rabbit hole, as I was taking the gas tank out, I looked over at my leaf spring and I noticed something looked funky about it. And so investigating that, the center bolt for my leaf spring has sheared and my leaves were all messed up. If I stuck a screwdriver through the hole of the center pin hole, I couldn't get any of the leaf springs to line up. I couldn't get a bolt through it because they were just all shuffled up. One leaf spring was pushed about 11 inches back. One was about 1.5 inches forward. It was almost like a deck of shuffled cards. And let me tell you what a pain in the butt it was to get all that back together. Yeah, I did not enjoy that. But inspecting the center pin, it was broke and it was pretty well rusted. So it broke for a while, and the pin looked horrible. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, I posted pictures up about it. So the topic I'm trying to get to is eyeball everything. When you're doing something, take a visual inspection. Really dig into it, because, man, if I would have spent an extra 10 minutes checking my fuel tank out, I could have got a new tank then, and I would have been once and done. And if I would have inspected my leaf springs more often, I would have saw that something was screwed up about it, and I could have changed it at my leisure instead of being broke down. And I missed a weekend of wheeling because my rig's all cattywampus. Although I'm waiting on a gas tank to come in. You would not believe how hard it is. Well, it wasn't hard, but it's a good thing I don't need the vehicle right now, because you can't get a gas tank right away. Not in my area. So, proper maintenance, inspect everything. It seems like this year, every time I go out, I come home, something's broke. And these two things were broke way before I went out. It's a good thing I didn't blow myself up. I went camping just 2 or 3 days before I noticed the gas leak. I'm sure it was leaking then. A guy that I was camping with, when I mentioned, hey, I got a gas leak, he says, I thought I smelled gas, but I didn't know where it was coming from. And, it's a good thing. Campfire was, I didn't park my Jeep on top of the campfire, but I was close enough that, you know how sparks are and ambers are. I could have blown us all up. Gas leaks are nothing to play around with. I'm happy everything worked out, but I'm kind of embarrassed that I didn't catch it. I had to wait till it was a pretty serious leak before I caught it. All right, with that being said, a lot of interesting things coming up. I got quite a few plans. I'm getting ready to take a road trip in the next few weeks, and I promise I am going to go out and try to record audio and interview people and just talk to people in Jeeps I meet along the way. I have no idea how it's going to work out. I have no definitive plans. I just know a destination that I'm going to, and we'll see how that works out. That plus the heat of the summer is up. Wheeling is going in full swing. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of people out wheeling. Me and a few people were talking about it today. We think the gas prices are keeping everybody away. And I'm stupid enough to not look at the gas pump when it's wheeling, because I do not want to see what that total is. I tend to not look at it. I'm sure I'm going to be broke someday because of it. But anyhow, I've rambled on long enough. I'm at the 10-minute mark. All right, I'm about out of time. I appreciate you guys listening in. It's I do it for all three of you. I love it, enjoy it. And even if you weren't listening, I think I'd still just talk, because this is therapeutic for me. All right, until next time, this is Nikki G saying, wheel what you got and be happy. Yeah.